Howdy YouTube friends, it is Amanda here, and we are back in my Who'sium, my Doctor Who room. I have actually tried to find a little position that might work well for videoing, so let's see if this works well today. Lots has happened with Doctor Who since the last time that I recorded a video. One of the things that has happened is that we've had a number of announcements about the new series coming up. If you don't already know, first of all, I'm going to spoil all the announcements here. So if you don't want to know anything about what's coming up, then maybe skip ahead in this video a couple of minutes, because later in the video I'm going to talk about some new items that I got. But I won't spoil anything that is not been officially announced by the BBC. So no rumors or anything like that. So the big announcements are that we're going to come back in this year, later this year, for 6 episodes and then 3 specials. And at the end of all of that, we're going into 2022. Jodie Whittaker, who's playing the 13th Doctor right now, is going to leave the show, and then Chris Chibnall, who is the current showrunner, will also be leaving the show in 2022. So in terms of my reaction for that, I have kind of a lot. First of all, I'm excited we finally have some news about some upcoming stories, some upcoming episodes, because it's been a long time since we've had anything new for the show. And you know, right now I'm kind of on a rewatch because I've only watched the 13th Doctor stuff like maybe once through, and I don't even feel like I have a good grasp on like who the companions are and what all the secondary characters who are popping up again, and I need to kind of go back and watch all that again. Somebody asked me the other day who the companions were, and I couldn't even think of their names because I adore them, but I've only seen them through once, so it's just not as firmly set in my memory as the older Doctor eras. I'm of course sad that there's only going to be 6 episodes. I wish that there were more. Always I wish that there were more episodes and more stories and more Doctor Who. I would be happy if we got a new story every weekend, you know, like they did in the old days. They had every whatever Saturday tea or whatever it was on, and we just don't really have that now in the way that they produce entertainment these days. You know, they kind of make it in a more bingeable format, and I understand that in terms of monetizing money purposes, but it's still like kind of disappointing. But I will also just always be very grateful for anything that we do get, because I do know that at any time they could decide to pull the plug on the show. So as long as they're producing more stuff, I guess I'm happy with that. I'm also happy that they're making, you know, the cartoon versions of some of the old Lost episodes, and we are still getting new content pretty frequently. So I'm, you know, and between all of that and Big Finish, it's not like we don't have anything new to enjoy. But you know, the best thing to get is a brand new episode. So I'm okay with the Doctor leaving. I liked her. I did not like her. There's a lot of people that don't like her, and whether they didn't like her because of her, because of her character, because of the writing, because of whatever. I try not to get too involved in arguing on the internet in terms of like going into the comments. Every once in a while I will get a wild hair and I will make a snarky comment on a BBC Facebook post, but most of the time I leave it alone because it's just not worth my energy to get involved in those internet fights. So I will say just for this video that I'm a little sad that she's leaving, just in terms of I liked her and I thought she was nice and fun to have around as the Doctor, but I always like it when there's a new Doctor around the corner, because that always brings so much energy and so much freshness. And then especially with Chris Chibnall leaving, and potentially a new showrunner coming in, you know, you always don't quite know what style the show is going to take when you have a new showrunner, because they can do anything they want in terms of filming style and directing and producing and Chibnall brought in an entirely new crew in terms of musicians and, you name it. So it'll be interesting. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but in all of the marketing, you didn't hear anything official from BBC about the word regeneration or the next doctor to come or the next showrunner. All they sort of said was that Chibnall and Whittaker will be leaving. Correct me if I'm wrong, and definitely if you saw something that said somebody else will be coming in, we don't know who yet, but we are going to continue the show, let me know. I was desperately looking for that because I don't want the show to end when Jodie and Chibnall leave. And I haven't seen any verbiage yet that says it will continue. So it makes me a little nervous. Put in the comments if you've seen anything else, and maybe help me out here because I haven't seen anything that's been really consistently worded in a way that makes me have hope that they're going to continue to go. Now, I always have hope, but I'd like to see the show continue, and I'd like to see a regeneration. It's a show that's been going for so long, and they can't take it off the air. Just, I hope that they leave it. But of course, I don't really have any reason to think that they wouldn't keep doing the show either. So there's the other side of that coin. I do like specials, so the fact that she's going to do 3 specials kind of before she goes kind of reminds me of when the 10th Doctor left. He had all those specials before he left, so we're going to get kind of shades of that, I think. So that's kind of my thoughts on the big announcements. That's kind of where I am with it. Like I said, I don't not like Jodie. I think that she was great, and she did a really good job with her character, and I thought that a new showrunner having the show definitely changed the tone of the show, and it changed the production quality. It changed the way that the show is made. And I don't think it was a bad thing to have something different for a while. So that's kind of where we are. Since my last video, I got a few new items, so I'll kind of show you. I got this new DVD. This is called 30 Years in the TARDIS. Actually, it's called More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS. It's kind of a remake or a update of this documentary. So I picked this up on eBay. 30 Years in the TARDIS was a documentary that was done 93. And what they did was they went back and did a bunch of interviews with people who were on the show, people who are associated with the show. They had some children from a school come out, and they talked to the children at the school about their experiences with Doctor Who. And then they, what they did was they went back for more than 30 years in the TARDIS, and they sort of updated the viewers based on that documentary that had been done however many years ago. And they went back and revisited some of the people that were in the original documentary. So it's kind of interesting. I had seen this before, but I had never owned a copy. So it was kind of cool to have a copy of it. The primary reason I picked this up is because I'm thinking about going to attend Chicago TARDIS this year. We still haven't made a firm decision one way or the other as to whether we're going to go or not. But if we do go, one of the guests that they have there is Elizabeth Sladen's daughter. Elizabeth Sladen, as you might know, played one of the long-time running classic companions, Sarah Jane Smith. And her daughter features heavily in this documentary. And so I was going to see if she wanted to autograph this, because it is one of the things I like to do, is to have my DVDs autographed. So there's that. And then I have a friend who is downsizing a lot of their Doctor Who stuff, and I was able to pick up 3 Big Finish production CDs from him. So 2 of them I knew something about, and one of them I didn't know much about at all. So I'll be listening to these in my car. My car has a CD player, and that's where I usually listen to my Big Finish stuff. The first one is the Paul McGann version of Shada. Shada is one of those stories that has a super complicated history that has been done and redone some more. It's one of those stories in Doctor Who that producers of different stuff, they like to tinker with this story a lot, and so you're going to find a lot of different versions of this one out here. The reason that it gets tinkered with a lot is because it wasn't a regular story. And initially it was going to be back when Tom Baker was the Doctor, and what happened is they only got a few episodes of it, or a little bit of it filmed and ready to go before there was this huge strike, and it kind of made production on the story stop, and they never did get it picked back up in time to get it done with the season that it was supposed to go with. And so the story was sort of canned, it was shelved and never brought out to TV, never did see the light of day again. But then BBC sort of had this extra footage laying around of the Doctor and Romana 2 at Cambridge University. It's a gorgeous story, and really some of the footage they had was amazing. They had a barbershop quartet that was singing, and somebody riding a bike, and they were punting on the Thames, which is like, hey, Americans, that's like canoeing, right? And so there was a lot of really cool footage. And so what they ended up doing was using some of the footage in the special, the multi-doctor special called The Five Doctors, because Tom Baker didn't want to be in that. And so they said, well, fine, we'll just put in this footage we have of you. So they used it there. And then later, Tom Baker did a version of Shada where he came in and sort of narrated some of the stuff. There were multiple